All right. So thanks for jumping on, Jared. I really want to get your information or get some insights on this iTrustCapital. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is because on my YouTube station, I really want to help people keep more of their crypto and give them ways to not, be taxed or have to sell it unnecessarily and incur taxes or basically lose their crypto. And I really think what you guys are doing with iTrust can help people do that. So if you don't mind just kind of sharing a little bit about maybe yourself, the company, and just kind of overall what you guys do over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. It's always nice kind of having these conversations and making people more aware of the opportunities in crypto, as well as in the IRA space and how those two worlds combine. I don't think anyone really thought there would be a Venn diagram of retirement planning and then cryptocurrency, and that they would overlap at some point. But here we are. We started in 2018, iTrustCapital. We do crypto IRAs. We also have gold and silver, which I can get into in a bit. We were founded as a technology platform. So this started off as a beta in 2019. The value proposition was we want to disrupt the crypto IRA space. There were incumbents that were charging antiquated pricing models, very, very high fees, and the trading wasn't very technologically advanced, right, in terms of high frequency. So it took off right away. There was a huge appetite for what it is that we do. We went from 30 million to 100 million. We started off this year at 300 million on the platform. Now we have over 1.5 billion, and crypto just continues to surge, and so do the amount of people who have accounts with us. So 24/7 trading, IRAs, individual retirement accounts only. We have 3 different types of ways that people fund an account. People do cash contributions of new capital. People take IRAs that they already have been funding for years. They transfer it over into a new IRA with us. Or sometimes people have a 401k with a previous employer and they roll that over to us into a new IRA. So those are the 3 main ways that people work with us. For me personally, I'm Jared Feldman. I'm the Director of Client Experience. I've been here since January, which seems like a short amount of time in the real world, but in the crypto world, it feels like years in a lot of different ways. And I just really like financial planning, and I like crypto even more, which makes me a really good person to kind of be in this spot to help people along the way as they're establishing a crypto IRA.
Nice. So to put this into kind of perspective, personally, I have an IRA that's like, holding stocks. I think it's with Fidelity. If anybody is holding one of those and they're like, yeah, I'd love to increase my crypto portfolio, what you're saying is they can just like sign up with you guys and just like move whatever they have in equities, whatever account they have, whatever IRA they're using, into basically cryptos and even metals.
Yeah, absolutely. Our setup is just like any other IRA, like a Fidelity or a Vanguard. We have legal entities in place. We have a chartered trust that's regulated by the state of Colorado. We have everything that you would need in order to be able to have an IRA like this. The only difference with our platform is we have alternative assets. So whereas Fidelity or Vanguard have the same IRA setup through a separate trust entity, and they're able to allow people to invest through their IRA in stocks and ETFs, et cetera, we just set that up for crypto. And the reason why we've been so successful is because for whatever reason, the legacy players don't want to pivot into the crypto space, whether it be difficulty with custody on the cold storage side, whether it be client support and dealing with people who have questions about crypto.
Yeah.
It could be a whole plethora of things, but that's been the opportunity. It hasn't really been complicated setting this up from like a legal standpoint. What's been really complicated has been setting it up from a technological standpoint and actually making it so people can access the site, be able to trade 24/7 and not have a hot wallet, right? That's a really important part of our technology as well, is that you can't have your hot wallet or any hot wallet drained from your iTrust account. It's just cold storage and you trade 24/7.
Yeah, explain that a little more if you don't mind. Privacy and not privacy and security. So not hot wallet. What kind of security guys do you guys use?
Yeah, it's mission critical that we create transparency around that, and then we have a plan in place. A lot of people in crypto are not your keys, not your crypto, right? And that's been ingrained in their minds since the moment they got into digital assets. And the way that we look at it, the way that I look at it personally, is that you don't just want diversification of what you own, but also diversification in taxability and diversification in storage. You don't want all of your crypto stored personally on your own wallet. That's too high of a risk. You don't necessarily want all of it on institutional storage. That's also too high of a risk. We have clients who have their own personal wallet for some of their assets, and then they feel really good about the fact that they have cold storage, that's institutional cold storage that they outsource through us. This way, if something were to happen to them, whether it be an accident or something malicious, and these things do happen, they don't have all their eggs in one basket from a security standpoint. Another key thing that I want to point out is the difference between us and like a Coinbase or like a Kraken when it comes to the exchange wallet is that we do not have that hot wallet concept. So if someone were to get into your iTrust account, the worst thing they could do is execute an unauthorized trade. If they get into your Coinbase or Kraken account, they can drain your account pretty easily. So that's the biggest safeguard that we have.
Interesting. So you can still obviously go inside your iTrust account and trade as if it were a Coinbase or a Kraken. Can you explain kind of the difference of, I guess, how it's different than a Kraken or a Coinbase? So they can't drain your account. It's a little more secure.
Unequivocally, when you're logging into your Kraken or Coinbase account, you just have a retail account. So it's just sitting in a hot wallet, which is a beautiful thing, right? I mean, crypto, you can move funds in with an expediency and at a low cost that you cannot in the legacy system. All right, so that's absolutely incredible. But at the same time, the hot wallet is a huge single point of failure, right? If someone has a Coinbase account, most people don't realize that if they get SIM card attacked or if someone were to get past their security, people don't realize for the most part that your Coinbase account, all that you have to do is just click send and you can drain that wallet very easily. It was unfortunately, a big topic of conversation last month with the T-Mobile attack because T-Mobile got attacked. We had a lot of clients that got SIM card attacked. Their Coinbase wallet was compromised, but their iTrust account was not. Because even though people may have been able to get into their iTrust account, they couldn't get past the 2FA. And then even if they did, they would quickly realize that you can't drain an iTrustCapital account.
That's really cool. I like that. Yeah, security with crypto is incredible. It's the most important, I mean, if you lose your crypto, you're screwed. So let's talk about the fees and costs to do this. Do you mind just going over that? Like, how much does it cost to set up an account? Are there minimums? How much does it cost to trade, et cetera?
Yeah, we like to keep as much transparency around the fees as possible. It's just not a culture in the industry, right? And most crypto IRA companies are kind of sneaky with the fees. They create friction. We don't like to create friction. So there's no upfront fee. We don't charge to bring money over. We're not going to charge to leave either. So ultimately, clients are renting our platform. $29.95 per month is the account fee. That fee gets taken off a credit card, so it's not cannibalizing the assets. It really goes toward the institutional cold storage. It goes toward access to our proprietary trading platform, the liquidity that we provide, as well as the legwork that has to go down on the tax administration standpoint. Then we charge 1% per trade, right? So if you put in, let's say your trade is $10,000 or your portfolio is $10,000, by the time you get all 10 grand in, you'll end up with about 9,900 in crypto value. And then if you ride that 10,000 to 20,000, you want to take some risk off the table, you will end up with approximately 19,800 in USD if you sell at 20K. So the fees are that 1% per trade, as well as the $29.95 per month off the credit card. When it comes to cost, I don't just think about the fees when it comes to the cost of trading on our platform. I also think about the value that we create versus just having your money in a brokerage non-qualified account. So if we can just quickly review a scenario, if you're in profit in your IRA for your crypto and you're in profit with the same allocation in your Coinbase account, if you make a sale in your Coinbase or Kraken account and the non-qualified brokerage account, you're going to get hit with capital gains, whether it be long-term or short-term capital gains. If you're day trading or monthly trading, it's going to be short-term capital gains. You're going to be up to 40, 50% in some states. If you make that same trade in your IRA, you're completely sheltered from capital gains taxes. So the reason why that's so important is because if you think the market's getting overheated and you think that Bitcoin is heading toward a peak and you want to sell some, if you mistime that trade in your Coinbase account, you're going to really, really regret it in a way that you won't regret it in your IRA. Because in your IRA, okay, the trade wasn't perfectly timed, but at least you still made a huge profit. Whereas in your other accounts, you're going to be constantly thinking about the fact that you're cannibalizing yourself on the taxes.
Yeah, that's really huge. I guess I want to reemphasize that. So a lot of people talk about market timing, or they want to sell, even just selling some of the crypto. If I sold some crypto that had some serious gains in my Coinbase account, that's tracked. Like they would know, the IRS would know, and I would be taxed on those gains. But the difference is that if it's in an IRA with you guys, I could have made 100% gains. I could have doubled my money. I could have bought Bitcoin at 25 and sold at 50 or whatever. And I would be hit with that, or not hit, I would be charged that 1% trading fee. But if I made 100% gains, I'm still up 99, whatever, 99%, even after the fees. Is that basically how that works in a nutshell? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's too good to be true. It's not. It actually comes back down to the government needing to create incentives for saving. It's just that simple. The government is not going to do well if it has a bunch of people who are reaching retirement age and they're being bankrolled on Social Security or other programs, right? So the government needs to create incentives around saving and investing. And that's why when you watch like CNBC or Fox Business, sometimes they always point to the fact that most trading in the US actually occurs in tax sheltered IRAs and 401ks and other sort of pension profit sharing plans, et cetera. So this is where most of the trading really happens. And it's I guess, not a very well kept secret that when you trade in your IRA, you're not reporting those trades, right? It's not like you're not reporting them maliciously. You're not reporting because you're not required to. Whereas when you're trading in your Coinbase or Kraken account, depending on how much trading you do, there's going to be a lot of heavy lifting around tax time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest deals. They're one of the biggest benefits of this service, at least for me anyway. Like you said, de-risking, taking some profits, and not having those being reported and not getting taxed on those gains. That's massive. And just to clarify, if I were to say sell some Bitcoin that had realized some gains, would I be selling that into US dollars? How would that work?
The funds will come in as USD, and then you can always trade back into USD. So we can only take money that's coming over in kind, right? So if someone has a crypto IRA, we can take their crypto assets. But unless someone has a crypto IRA, if they have an account at Fidelity, you can't take the Fidelity stocks or the Fidelity ETFs. We can only take the US dollars. So they liquidate at Fidelity, they transfer the dollars here. As soon as we get the money, we let them know, they log into their account, they can trade 24/7. They allocate the US dollars, which is fiat, into the crypto or gold and silver. Then they can always trade back out to take risk off the table, and it'll be sitting back in US dollar, which is fiat. The reason why I use the word fiat is because we don't have stable coins per se. We don't have like a USDC or a DAI or a Tether. It really gets back to us being an IRA company, right? We're an IRA provider. We have to be cautious and methodical in a lot of things that we do. And I think that the fact that we have FDIC insurance on the US dollars is just like a really positive thing for our clients who are dipping their toes into this for the first time.
Nice. I looked at your website. You guys offer a lot of different cryptos. I won't even list them. There'll be a link below if you guys want to check it out. But a lot of different cryptos that you guys offer. Any plans on staking or any type of yield generation? I know like ETH2, and you can stake a lot of these coins. Is that in the works in the future? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely in the works. There's a tweet from iTrustCapital in like January of this year that says that we're dedicated to trying to get a lending interest option on our platform in 2021. Look, we're already in October, so the chances of us implementing a lending or staking solution this year are certainly smaller than they were in January, which this is just me being candid. But at the same time, we've made such progress on both those initiatives. I'm just really optimistic that we'll be able to launch something late in Q4, if not in Q1. The biggest obstacle besides technological is just compliance. We just don't want to push the envelope with our clients, especially at a time where the regulatory environment is just so sensitive. We're not going to do it. We're just not in a rush to do it, in the sense that we're not trying to put our clients in a weird situation before regulatory clarity gets put out there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because to join your platform, you don't need to be accredited. You can just be a normal person, no income requirements, none of that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Our platform is the minimum to sign up is 2,500. We have people who sign up with 2,500. We have people who sign up with a lot more than that. But the platform is conducive for all sorts of investors, for hodlers, for traders, for people who just rebalance monthly. All are welcome and all find value on the platform, especially over time, right? If people come on the platform and they have a 3 to 6 month view on crypto, most people get burned over 3 to 6 months in crypto. It's those who stay in it for 6, 9, 12 plus months are the people who end up doing very well. And that's just been proven over time.
Nice. All right, Jared. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Is there any final parting thoughts that maybe we haven't covered? This seems great just for having people, end their year with more coins and not give it to the government. And that's really what I'm about. So any final thoughts you have before we end this call?
No, I mean, I think that we don't want to completely circumvent the government. At the end of the day, we want to play within the rules and play within the playground. And that's what we take a lot of pride in doing. We give our clients the opportunity to be able to incorporate this into their financial plan on their terms. So however people want to work with us, if they want to just start off with a cash contribution, if they want to send over part of their IRA or part of their 401k, that's also fine. We're more than happy to have them, and they can kind of test run the platform as well. They can find me on Twitter, J Feldman 452. They can reach out to me also if they want to just reach out through the website, and we'll set them up with someone here who they can speak with, one of our specialists, and they can kind of learn more about the logistics from there as well.
Okay, awesome. And guys, there will be a link below, so you can go ahead and click that if you want to learn more about this and talk to somebody on their team. So, hey, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, thanks again.
Thanks for having me.